Welcome, everybody. So this is called the Continual Search Gatherings. So this is it. This is it. There's nothing else going on. Anything else that seems to be going on is some kind of a story that we tell ourselves, some kind of story about where we want to go, what we think we should be doing, what we need to move away from in the past and move forward in our future, right? So that's what the separated self does. That's what the ego does. That's its job. Its job is to keep us what? Separate, separate, separate. Separate from the future, separate from the past. And very rarely does it allow us to be in the present. And usually when it's in the present, when the present seems to be happening, the present quickly is obscured by something of the future or something of the past, a thought, a desire, a need of what needs to be done about healing the past or shifting what's going on, or it does not want to be here. It wants to be somewhere else. It wants to go away. It wants to change. It wants you to change. It wants the world to change. And that's what's called the continual search. And so these gatherings are about relating or resonating with this space that's impossible to really articulate. It's very hard to, it's almost impossible to articulate this. Hold on, I have to stop my cat from chewing a bag. Hold on a second. Can you not do that, please? Thank you. Very good. Who has cats? See that? Don't ever leave a bag out because the cats will start chewing on it. Anyway, so this is all this, what we're doing here, this continual search gathering is, as I've said many times, is that you're not going to learn anything because the only thing that needs to learn anything or wants to learn anything is the separated self or the ego. Now, there is nothing wrong with any of this. There's nothing right and there's nothing wrong, right? Right? As I say that, nothing wrong and nothing is right. It all is exactly the way it is. Everything is exactly what it is. The thing that makes it, that makes us or the character that we play caught in what the Course in Miracles would say is in the illusion, is the idea that you are a character, that you are somebody that has a past and somebody that has a future, somebody that has likes and someone has dislikes. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I will say that again, there's nothing at all wrong with it. What we're kind of delving into, tapping into, exploring, resonating with tonight is the idea that without the story, without the character, there is something else going on. That something else cannot be described, and that something else is so obvious that when it occurs to yourself, and it's not even yourself that it occurs to because there is no one there. See, it's very hard in these discussions. When it starts to appear to happen, then there seems to be a resonance, and that resonance many times comes in the form of freedom. It comes in the form of, oh my God, I get something clicks, something can click. Now, as I'm saying that right now to all of you, your ego is listening to that. Your separated self is going, oh, I need to try to get it. I need to try to work to try to get it. You don't need to get it because it's already here. It never went away. It's never going to go anywhere. It's already right here. So the ego is going to be like, so, okay. And then it gets bored and goes, okay, now let's do something. Now let me fix myself. Now let me heal myself. Let me go change something. Now this is very different from the impulse of being creative. So as life is happening, sometimes what happens is that there is an impulse to be like, whoa, it feels like I would like to be painting right now. Great. paint. It feels like there is invention happening. So invent, right? And as that starts to happen, and as we start to, sorry, I'm going to turn that off, the sound off, everybody. There we go. As we start to see that it's all a game, that all this quote unquote life is in the separated form really is just literally a dog chasing its own tail trying to get somewhere. The analogy could be very easily put into the idea of, I used to use this a lot and I will use it right now. If anyone's ever seen those ant farms, you know, the ant farms that you get when you're a kid, and you put all the sand in it and then you try to catch ants. That's a whole other thing. And then you catch the ants and you put them in there, and then there's the sand, and then you put them in there, and then you let it sit there and you can watch it. And those ants are very, very, you had one, right? Good, Brad? They're very concerned and they're very judicious about making sure that the tunnels are made and that the rocks get moved away and that it's all very industrious, right? It's very industrious, and they're making their tunnels and they're moving things around and they're doing all this stuff, but they're still in an ant farm and nothing's really happening. Nothing's really happening. This analogy is very much about what we're talking about. The ant farm is the continual search to try to be like, that's going to mean something, and then I'm going to heal from that, and then that's going to change, and then that tunnel will change, and then we will get to the top, and then we will see the light, and then everything will change, and then you see the light, and then someone comes over and they pull some more sand, and then it covers that ant. If you're following my drift here, this is what the separated self or the egoic self does in quote unquote life. Until it goes, well, it will never do this, but something starts to dawn, something starts to shift, where there's an identification of the self that begins to melt away. Something starts to change. I cannot tell you what that is. I'll tell you that for me, many, many, many years, doing all of this work for many, many years, is that a couple of years ago, something started to change. And it was very big. And I was like, what is going on? And what started happening is that the character that I had built for 55 years started to go away. And I was like, what's happening? But I realized, oh my gosh, this is what it's all about. Something is happening, and it's not it's kind of what I learned and what I read and what I taught for so long. On some level, if you look at it in time, could have led me to this place. But now I definitely know that you don't have to do all that work to get to this place, because this place I never left. I never left this place. It never happened, but the character thought that it left and it needed to come back and try to find it. That is gone, almost all gone. So for this, life is just happening. It's just falling into place on some level. It's just saying, okay, this is going to happen. And now voting is happening. Now sitting in the sun is happening. Having a glass of wine is happening. Talking to people on the internet is happening. There is very little, almost no kind of pre-planning or organizing or figuring out. It's just allowing it all to happen. You might say that this is very close to what you might call going with the flow. So in these meetings, there's not, you might be, what I want to say, organizing thought in a way You might be trying to be like, how does this apply to my life? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But literally, there's nothing to learn here because nothing needs to be learned. Nothing needs to change. Everything is exactly as it is. And as it is exactly as it is, there tends to be a sense of freedom, a sense of immediacy, a sense of, whoa, wow, whoa, wow, whoa. And it's so, as I said earlier, it is so obvious, as A Course in Miracles would say, that God is closer than your own breath. What's closer than your own breath? Now, this is not about God at all, at all, at all. But what we're speaking of here is so obvious that the egoic mind or the separate self looks far beyond it and goes, okay, I got to look far beyond it. It's literally like smacking you in the face right now. So this is what we're talking about today. So this is what the continual search gatherings are about. Any comments or questions are completely welcome. You don't have to say the right question because there's no right question. There's no wrong question. Everything is accepted. And this is what this gathering is about, creating a kind of just a place where you can maybe ask me what's going on, share your experience based on kind of what I said. And I think that's it. So now we just see what you have to say, and anyone can talk or not talk, and that's it.